Guten Morgen und herzlich willkommen zum vierten Teil unseres Sommertreffens, dieses Mal online. Schön, dass wir wieder bei euch sein können und ihr auch bei uns sein könnt. Wir haben dieses Jahr eine Spezialität, da kommen wir gleich dazu. Bevor wir starten, würden wir gerne noch liebe Grußworte von Horst und Birgit bestellen und da würden wir gerne ein Video zeigen.
Willkommen am Homa-Hof.
Von mir aus auch herzlich willkommen. Wir freuen uns auf euch.
Gut, ich möchte vorstellen unseren Vorstand vom Homa-Hof, Jürgen Rehm.
Ja, ein ganz besonderes herzliches Willkommen hier am Homa-Hof. Es ist uns eine besondere Freude, dass ihr heute die Zeit gefunden habt, hier mit dabei zu sein. Und ich freue mich so sehr, dass Horst diesen Hof gegründet hat, 1988. Und schön, dass ihr da seid.
Ich freue mich ganz arg sehr, dass Horst das Agnihotra verbreitet hat in Deutschland und so vielen Menschen so viel Hilfe gebracht hat damit.
Ich wünsche euch viel Freude mit der Feuerzeremonie Agnihotra, die ja morgens und abends praktiziert wird. Und es haben viele Menschen damit schon gute Erfahrungen gemacht.
So, I apologize, ich entschuldige mich für das Echo, das hier gerade zu hören war. War eine kleine technische Rückkopplung. Okay, so heute möchten wir gerne ein Interview führen in Englisch und dann würden wir jetzt auch in Englisch starten. So, again, warm welcome to our summer meeting this year. Today we have a special guest. So, Namaste, Dr. Purushottam Rajimwale. Thank you very much for joining today, and we get some insights on Shivapuri location, maybe some background on Shree, and also the interesting projects that you started in Shivapuri. It's very beautiful to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you so much. And it's wonderful to be with all our Homa-Hof family. So big namaste to everyone from here in India.
Thank you.
Great. Before we start, we would like to give a short introduction into the meeting room that we have, the webinar room. So we all know the summer events that we had the past years at the Homa farm. It was a beautiful event for all of us, not only for the guests. It was great to get in contact with you. Very impressive to see so many people who are interested in Homa methods, in Agnihotra, in the different fire disciplines. Really beautiful is to see, especially the evening Agnihotra, when we shared the sunset Agnihotra together. It was really beautiful. And now, since we did not have the chance to have it last year and also this year, we said, okay, let's do it online so that we have the chance to come to your home and you easily can join us and we can meet and having some information sharing or being together. Yeah. Especially 2019, there was the idea that Purushottam will visit us, but this did not happen. And now we're very glad that we have him with us today in this online session. Yeah. So now today we have the fourth part of the summer event. We look back to the different lectures that we had, different sessions, very beautiful informations and great people joined. So today we talk about Shivapuri and give Purushottam the chance to give us some insights on Shivapuri location, and so some words on the way how you can contribute or you can interact with us during this webinar. So some explanation here. You see that there are different possibilities you have in the meeting room. You can extend your screen to the maximum using this button, or you can click on this button that the right side will disappear, so all the chat will disappear, but you can put it back to the screen. This sign, this is a possibility where you can actively give us some signs that you have maybe a question, and you can raise your hand or just raise a question if you want to. This is the button where you can access to the setup of your personal equipment. If you maybe have sound issues or video issues, you can solve them here. And this, the last button, this is the chat button. I already see that a lot of people are chatting here. Beautiful greetings from all over Europe, at least from what I see. We also had guests from Brasilia last time.
I think she's on.
Yeah, she's on. Oh, great.
From Brazil
okay.
Today.
Good, great, good to see. Yeah. So with the chat, you can interact with us and you can raise some questions later on if you have. We also have the possibility, if you want, and if you want to have some dialogue with us, we can activate you, and then you can come in with your personal camera, your personal video and microphone. And then if you want to go out of the active participation, you can click this button. Great. So that's all for the introduction. I forget to introduce, I apologize. I forget to introduce Guido. Guido is with me today. And Guido, you also have some personal experience. You have been to Shivapuri.
Yes.
At that time when Horst visited Shree.
Yes, yeah. Horst has been to Shree 33 times, mainly in the 70s and in the 80s. And I was fortunate to participate in some group travels to Shree at the beginning of the 80s. And this is also when Purushottam, when we first met. I think you were a kid in those days. And we also met later on the Homa-Hof when you came to Germany several times to visit the Homa-Hof. And so I'm very glad that you are here with us today. And since it has been a long time since I was in Shivapuri, I'm also looking forward to hear and get information about Shivapuri today and about Shree's legacy and his life. Some things you will tell us about today.
Thank you, Guido. It was lovely meeting you as well. And for you, I think I'm still a child.
No, I could just remember it was so cute. You see, and Shree, you were playing in the room, and Shree was laughing, and all the people were there. It was such a lovely sight, and I still remember it today. And
yeah, part of the family, so very great to connect with you all over again. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. As Guido mentioned, you have some interesting information about your personal experience and the heritage of your grandfather, Shree. And we love to see what you brought with us. So we can start right away with the presentation, if you like.
Yeah, could you please?
Yeah, so the sound is sometimes interrupting. We cannot hear you very well at the moment.
I think I should just close the door, maybe get a little less disturbance.
Potentially, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when he's closer to the microphone, it's better.
Yeah.
When he stood up, he was closer to the microphone.
So. Yeah, I think there's I'm at the sea, so I think there's too much noise behind me.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's very good. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yes. Very good. Great. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Do you would like to start with the presentation now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm loading the presentation. Just give me a moment. And here I hand over to you. So this is the first slide. I think you see it.
Not yet. I think it's connecting my end. Can you already see it?
Pardon?
Everybody's.
Can you?
Yeah.
Thanks,
Everyone sees it. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can access and use the keys on your keyboard to scroll through the presentation.
Yes. Somehow I can't see it yet, though.
You don't see the presentation.
Yeah, now I can. Now I can.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. So
The delay.
Did you see the other presentation that I just shared?
Yes, I did see it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So what do you see at the moment?
I see my first slide.
You see the first slide.
Okay.
That's good.
Fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
So now we can start. Oh. So this is the second slide.
All right. So namaste, first of all, to everyone attending this summer festival organized by Homa-Hof. It's always great connecting with the Homa-Hof family. And we've always considered Homa-Hof as an extension of Shivapuri. And host as family also. So host and Birgit and his whole family have been connected with the Shivapuri and Agnihotra movement for I think almost more than 44 decades now. It's a long time. And the host himself has been an instrumental in getting hundreds of people, maybe now today thousands of people connected with the global Agnihotra movement. And it's a great feeling always to interact with him. He has spent many long time with Chibi himself, and it's always the love and the warmth that he exudes is really special. So firstly, greetings to both of them, and I hope they're fine. And then getting into the subject matter today at hand, I think I wanted to talk to everybody with the background of the whole Agnihotra, the way Shri revealed Agnihotra, the background that Agnihotra comes from. So I think because most of us are people who have already started doing the fires, many of them have been with Homa for more than maybe 5, 10, 15 years. We have seniors like Guido as well who have been with this Agnihotra for decades, maybe more than time than I have been born on this planet. So what I would do is with my little humble learnings about Agnihotra and Homa and Shree's philosophy and what I could learn and read and understand with him and my father, I'll try and bring to you the basic background of what this whole movement is, what Agnihotra is, and where did it come from. First, before I get into that, I want all of us to understand the situation around the world that we live in. It's no secret. I think most of you are aware of what is happening in the world. Currently, you are aware that there is a crisis of healthcare that is plaguing the world right now. Most countries are going through catastrophic situations, lockdown, unlockdown, lockdown again. And this has been an ongoing process for the last 2 years, and it doesn't seem to ease out anytime soon. But when you talk about the current pandemic, what we do is we forget the larger issue that the world has been facing for not just the last 2 years, not just the last 20 years or last, 100 years or so, but for a millennia and more, because most of these issues have been built by humans over a large period of time, and we might be experiencing them now, we might be facing them now, but they weren't born yesterday. These issues have been plaguing mankind and a larger human population and the human civilization at large. So I think there has to come a point in time when we stop looking at each other from nationalities, religions, race, language, who we are, what we eat, what kind of clothes we wear. I think there's come a point in time when we start understanding that we are a human species living in a human civilization on this planet, in this universe that we call home. That is, I think, the first thing that we have to understand, because if we don't understand that, a lot of the questions will remain unanswered. A lot of the points that I'm going to touch upon going forward might not really filter down. So the first things first is, let's understand that you are not Germans, I'm not Indian. We are who we are, and we are all together as a single species. We are humans. We have been born on this planet with the same physiology, anatomy that each other share, and we call this entire planet our home. So I don't call Shivapuri my home. Right now, here I am in Goa, for instance, for some work, and wherever we are on this planet becomes home for us. So I think what this pandemic
reunites us, right?
Yes, and I think what this pandemic has taught us is that the most important lesson is that if there is a global problem, there has to be a global solution. There is no geographical problem. Say, for instance, climate change is not region specific. The pandemic is not region specific. The fact that climate change is leading to erratic climate behavior, causing crop destruction, leading to food shortage is not a geographical issue. It's a global issue. Health problems like increasing cancer levels, increasing heart disease levels. So many of these health indices are right now all over the place. Right now, with the whole pandemic, there's a lot of talk about comorbidities leading to a lot of fatalities in the world. But that's where a lot of these underlying health causes become very important. And that's where it's getting discussed that, yes, there's a larger health issue. Most importantly, when people started discussing immunity as the way out of the current health crisis, then mental health became a very important issue, because mental health, they now realize, plays a very important role in shaping your body's immune system, this body's metabolism, physiology, and anatomy going forward. So all these issues are global, and right now, as we can see it and feel it and understand it, that the human civilization is under threat. It's not that a region or a nation or a group of people or a religious identity is under threat. Human civilization is under threat. And if the nature is and its disturbances don't hurt us, humans are always very happy to kill each other and wage wars and create crime and a larger issue, because there's a lot of instability within humankind. There's a lot of disturbance within our own hearts and minds. That is the root cause of all of this, and that is where I think the journey should begin. That humanity has been going through a large period of unstable behavior, large periods of a vacuum in their own self, that we feel a disconnect with each other, we feel a disconnect with the world around us, we feel a disconnect within our family as well, that we don't seem to connect with our husbands and wives and children. There always is some distance, there always is some disturbance. And if a family can feel that, think about 7.5 billion people living together. So the entire human family is going through this crisis for the last few millennia and more. And what we are going through now is probably that moment of transition from that unstable existence to a more stable being. So I don't look at what is happening in the world today as calamity. I look at it as a period of transition. It is a period of transformation that we are going through, when we have understood that we are all connected, we are all one, and now we are going towards a larger change. This is what is the core idea, that what we face today, what is we look around when we meet other people, what we read in the newspapers or see in the media, is not a crisis of today. It is a larger human crisis. We as mankind has always been under duress and stress on this planet, and now the transition has to be for all of us to move out of this darkness into light. That is the journey of Shri. That is the journey of Agnihotra. That is where it begins. The question: can human civilization unify? And if they can unify, can we all together collectively build a better future for the generation after us? That is the core question.
Everyone now, that there are no boundaries, that there are no borders, because as you mentioned, we all belong together, we are all connected together, and that's I think also a beautiful experience now in this time.
It is, and there have been people who have been infected, people have suffered. Unfortunately, many of them have lost their lives. But for all of us who survived, I think it should be a great learning experience, that what is happening in Germany is happening in India. What's causing problems in America is causing problems in Japan. So we are not Japanese and Germans and Americans and Indians and Chinese. We are humans, and we are connected on this planet no matter what. So this is a big learning experience. I feel a lot of introspection, and even when the lockdowns were happening, of course, there was a big price to pay economically. People lost livelihoods, people lost jobs. But I think also what was happening was a lot of introspection was possible, that we could look within, think, rethink our lives, rethink our goals, and most importantly, restructure our future. Can we do that? If this is the end, then can we restructure our lives in a way that it becomes more fulfilling? So I think that is where I think the question of Shree, his coming, Agnihotra, and the eventual Agnihotra global movement comes into play.
Mm.
And when this is happening everywhere around us, this is what Shree's message is for us. That he says that he wants happiness, prosperity, and peace for everyone in this planet. So not only humans, not only people like us, but also for animals and plants and everything that is living should on this planet should be able to live in harmony and prosperity and peace. Nobody should be under threat. Nobody should be under stress. And a larger global transformation is what he's saying. So what we saw in the earlier slide was what we could build over the last millennia. What he is saying, let us shape the next coming few millennia on this planet with human civilization in a way where every being then gets to live a fulfilled life. And he says that is the purpose of him coming on this planet. That is the purpose of his entire journey on this planet as a being. And it was foretold in the ancient Vedic scriptures that at the darkest time will come the savior who will basically deliver a message of transformation and resurrection for the entire human civilization, where a large transition will happen. What Shree called as a thought revolution will happen. He says humans have seen a lot of revolutions, but the biggest revolution that has to happen is of the thought and the spirit. So if you have a spiritual revolution, that is where she said you will connect with each other, you will connect with the universe, and then eventually connect with the divine sacred. So this was foretold. His coming was already mentioned in many scriptures, and I think Host has very well documented the books in the books that he wrote in German about the whole background of Shree's coming. So it was his whole life story was as if it was written in the book, as word by word. It was written that the savior will be born in a very rich royal family in the central part of India, that they will always be more interested in social and civil services than becoming a kings and queens. He spent his entire early childhood with highly spiritual people, monks, and sannyasis and yogis, learning Vedas, where he could have actually been in a palace and then learned the princely duties. So all of his life, his early life, his childhood, all of it was as was mentioned in the text, in the books on the Vedas. So it is really very, very astonishing, very surprising, very fulfilling to see the entire story unfold around us, that yes, we are passing through this dark time, that we are getting through this darkest part of the tunnel, and we see the light at the end of it now. And that is where there's a lot of hope in my heart when I talk about Shree, I talk about Agnihotra. I look at the world around us. I don't look at it now with dismay and despair and hopelessness. I actually look at the world around with a lot of positivity, with a lot of energy, and I see a great future for all of us, for the entire human race. So this was his early childhood. His family was, of course, like I mentioned, a royal family. Our family was a royal family from central India, and his father and mother were both yogis. They renounced the kingly princely duties and accepted sannyas, accepted monkhood, and left the palace and went away for social and spiritual service. Then when as a young, this is a very beautiful picture of Shree as a 4-year-old child, and then he lived in an ashram, in a monastery till from a very young age, and lived a very rigorous spiritual life. He would normally get up at 4 in the morning, even as a child, start penances for almost 18 hours a day, and never. I mean, all the people that knew him as a child have always documented it, that he never had the usual childhood tantrums, or he was always meditating, learning, working, busy with something that kept him always motivated to do better. From a very young age, he had the lessons of the Vedas and the lessons of spiritual service imbibed from him, from the family and from the masters in the monastery where he lived. So from a very young age, he began this journey of transformation, that from a usual prince to a great spiritual, leader.
Very impressive. Yeah.
And then he, like I said, he lived from the age of 8 at the monastery in a town called Akkalkot. Now Akkalkot is a very small town. Today it's slightly bigger, but back in the day, in the early 19th and 20th century, it was a very small town, and he lived in this monastery with great masters. And the town of Akkalkot is situated in a very local location, because it is situated in the center of 3 very important spiritual sites in this part of the world. So it was mentioned also in the Vedas that he will work from a region which was demarcated for this global resurrection for more than a few millennia. So the Vedas, as they say, have been written down more than 20,000 years ago, documented what data that I've read. And then if that was written that long ago, his coming was foretold many millennia ago. And this place of Akkalkot and the place where Shivapuri is today is mentioned in the Vedic scriptures as one of the most holy sites on the planet. It is said that this site is at the center of the whole planet's spiritual energy, and that anything new that will be given from this place will transform the planet, transform humankind, and usher us into a larger era of global harmony and an era of light in the long run. So this monastery that Shree stayed in was started by Sri Swami Samarth Maharaj, and then followed by Sri Balappa Maharaj, Sri Gangadhar Maharaj, Shree's grandfather, and then eventually at the age of 20, Shree was chosen as the head of the monastery, the Pitadish, and then he was given the charge to lead the disciples on the esoteric path of the Vedic philosophy. So he then says his name was Param Sadguru Shri Gajanan Maharaj, of course, and then Shri is a title that his followers have bestowed upon him. And then Shri says that yes, if there is a global problem, if there is darkness that you see around you, now is the time for light. Now is the time for change. Now is the time for a greater evolution in the human kind. And that's what he says. I'm here to tell you. That's what I've been born to do, and that's the message of Agnihotra and the fivefold path. So I'll give you a little brief about what the organization here is doing. The organization is called Vishwa, which is a Sanskrit word. Vishwa means the universe, and we believe that the universe is one, and then that based on that principle, we believe that everything is connected and everything is united. And then the organization is working towards spiritual, social, medical, and cultural upliftment initiatives. We do a lot of research-oriented work. We do a lot of projects also for charity that I'll also discuss as time goes ahead. And we have always been busy with conducting large-scale projects here in India and in some other parts of the world as well, keeping in line with that. The most important thing that I think we do as an organization, and I think it reflects with Homa-Hof's work as well, that we are trying to blend the ancient wisdom with modern scientific knowledge. And I think that is what we are special, because like I was saying, that's going to be the future, that if there is a global problem and if there is a solution, we need to be able to find out how it really works, how it really applies to the various issues that we are facing, and then can we use that technology to move in further and make a bigger impact on people's lives. So what we are trying to do with this Homa technology is we are calling it a global revival project, because we are trying to revive the entire ecosystem of life on this planet, not just a part of the planet, but the entire globe at large. We're not only working for humans, like I said, at the end of the day, the nature around us keeps us alive. And if the nature is unstable, it's not going to make a big difference whether humans find health or happiness or prosperity or not. We are going to face problems. The current problem we are facing is so tiny that we can't even see it, but it's creating havoc in our lives. And so this is something that we aim to use Homa as a technology to change and create a larger, a global revival of humankind and nature itself. So the idea that we are working on is to create socially aware and environmentally awakened and spiritually awakened citizens of the world, create a future generation that is progressive, science driven, and united in spirit. We want to, of course, conserve the nature and protect and be not consumers but protectors of the planet. We don't want to be consumeristic in nature the way we are today, and that's really not going very far. If we try to look at the planet and to try to look at life as a basic consumption model, that's where we are failing. If we look at life and the planet as protectors here, then I think a larger change will come in. Try and stabilize the damage done to the atmosphere as far as we can, and that is possible. It's not impossible anymore, and we have enough scientific proof to back that thought that we can stabilize the atmosphere. We can actually create physical impact on the world around us. If we could pollute it and disturb the climate cycle, we can cleanse it and restructure the climate cycle as well. So that is something that we have data with that I will share with you later. Of course, very importantly, lower spread of pandemics and epidemics, future epidemics at least. The current one is already raging in a big way, and we have some data, but not enough data right now to go out there and claim this that we can take care of the pandemic as well. But we have enough data to go forward. Of course, we have to avoid any future radiation related effects, because that will be really very, very devastating, because it is a biological pathogen right now. At least we can be locked down and stay at home and be safe. But if it were a radioactive leak or a radioactive emission, then staying at home also wouldn't have helped. So it's also going to be important to take care of radiation, active and passive, going forward. Most importantly, to decrease any chances of a large-scale violence or reduce stress in humankind. And of course, last but not least, to increase or improve global health indices and reduce any incidence of diseases going forward. So this is a thought that is the core teaching of the Vedic philosophy that we have. Well, that's the way the word Vishwa comes in, because we believe that Isha was idam sarvam. It means that the whole world is one, and the whole world is one energy cycle in itself. All is interconnected. Life is interconnected. The cosmic cycle is interconnected. Planetary movements are interconnected, and we are all this global cosmic dance as an unbroken, unseparated single entity. So we might look different, we might feel different, we might think and live and eat and talk different, but at the end of the day, we believe that we are all cosmically connected. And if that were not true, large things on this planet wouldn't have happened the way it did. And like I said before, I think this current situation, like, it was devastating to a large degree, but I see a lot of silver lining in what is going on in the world right now. I see that people are getting connected. People are understanding this thought that yes, we are all connected, and then no matter where you are, no matter who you are, we are all just one single being. Did I lose the connection somehow?
Yeah, somehow we went to the wrong presentation. Let me go navigate back to the presentation.
Let's get back to the real one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, here we go.
So that's, I think, the core teaching of the Vedas. Isha means the sacred energy of the world, the energy that created the planet, and energy that built this universe. So we believe that no being built this universe. Energy itself, that is the very fabric of this universe, is everywhere. So we are connected cosmically. We are maybe not connected in body or mind, but we are connected in emotion and spirit, and that is the core teaching of the Vedas, and that is where the word Vishwa comes from. That Isha Vasamidam Sarvam. That means the whole universe is one. And we see a reference to a Homa practice, probably practiced in earlier parts of the millennia gone by, because the structure of Homa, the structure of the part is the pyramidal structure that we call the Agnihotra Pyramid. is visible in many parts of the world across cultures. So there has, like Shree said, there was a time when there was a common global civilization, a common global culture, and then eventually we digressed and went away from it till such a time that this was a common culture. You can see every culture that is reflected in this slide. It could be the Southern American cultures, the Middle Eastern cultures, Southeast Asian, Indian, Japanese, and even European cultures. When they were united in this thought, when they believed in this ideology, and they were joined by the unbroken thread of energy through the fire, they were all glorious. They all created magnanimous architecture, they created great art and music and poetry, and did great things in medicine, and built fabulous civilizations. And the remnants of that are still something that we can see in many parts of the world. I'm sure many of you have traveled. I was talking to Jürgen the other day, and he mentioned traveling to many of these places that you can see in the picture here. And then you can see the pyramids in Egypt, or the temples in India, or the temples in Cambodia and Southern America. In all of those places, the pyramidal structure remains common. And they understood the importance of this. They believed in this core philosophy. They all incidentally also believed in the role of the sun and the solar energy in propelling life on this planet forward. So that's not a coincidence. That's not just happenstance. That's a giant common history that we share. So we might always say, oh, this is German history, or the Indian history, or the American history. Forget that. This is human history. I think it's going to go beyond that. We are all connected. And that's something that I want to share as a very important note here, that that's, I think, something that we always discuss with host as well, that we are not trying to sell you an Indian culture. We are not trying to imbibe upon your foreign culture. This is your culture. Homa is from your own ancestry. That are your own ancestors. She is not just our family or ancestors. It's your family as well. This is your idea. Your forefathers believed in this. So we are all coming together. We are not giving you something. We are sharing this with each other. That's a very important thought that Shree believed in, and that is what he taught as well. That's
a very powerful message. A very powerful message. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And that is very important to understand. And I think people in the past have tried to understand this connection, but they couldn't. I think Shree showed us what the true connection was and how we are connected. We might be separated by geographical regions, but we are not separated by spirit. And most importantly, we are not separated by culture and tradition as well. So Homa has always been part of our culture. Fire has always been important for our forefathers. And the sun has always been the central figure of cosmic energy across civilizations all over the planet. I think this is a very important slide I wanted to share with all of you, that Homa, Agnihotra are not foreign to you. They're not coming from some distant Eastern country or some foreign land by some foreign guru or somebody. It's your own culture, your own ancestry. Your own forefathers did this. It got lost over time, and we are just sharing it back together with all of us. So that's a very important slide for all of us to understand. So the references of a similar practice could be seen across all the ancient texts, because we do a lot of research, especially with yoga, Ayurveda, and now with Agnihotra as well. And these are some of the references that could be found in the Vedic philosophical texts, where the Jataveda means the reason philosophy was born. So this is something that that Jataveda is a synonym for the fire, for the practice of fire. So fire basically is a representation of energy. So whenever you see fire, for instance, when there is a electrical current going across in our houses right now, we can see the lights turned on, and fans moving, and even internet operating. But we don't see the energy till there is a short circuit and something catches fire. So when energy is invisible till it reveals itself, and every time it reveals itself in the form of fire. That's what Jataveda means, that energy presents itself in the form of fire, and the cosmic energy that built this universe, that is the very fabric, very thread of this universe, is visible to us in the form of fire. So this is a reference from the Vedic philosophy about the Homa and the Agnihotra practice at large. And the last one, it says Yavat Jivam Agnihotram Juya. That means it's a Sanskrit verse, which means that you practice the Vedic lifestyle till you are existing as a being, not alive as a person. Till you keep coming back as a being, till you are caught in this global cosmic dance of creation and destruction, you will be attached with the Homa, you will be attached with the fire, and that is your core identity. Because you, at the end of the day, are fire itself. So you are not separate from the Homa fire. You are fire itself. You just don't see it because it's so deep within you that you have concealed it with a lot of human conditioning. The day you take the conditioning off, you will see that you have a constant burning Homa fire within your heart. So this is what that last verse means, that connect with the Homa fire, because that is the visual representation of your own self. You are part of the universe, and that Homa fire is the representation of you. So what you see in that pot is you in its true form, in its all true glory, coming to you with love, positivity, and tremendous energy. So that's what those verses really mean. So these are very interesting verses that I will just run through so that you might understand what Homa really is. And now this is going to get a little science fiction-y towards some point because, like I said, what we understand of the universe, what we think of the universe, how it functions, where it came from, what it is, who built it, all of those questions are still unanswered. But we do get a slight image, slight, what can I say, description of it across the Vedic text. Now, these 5 hymns from the Bhagavad Gita are really, really important because they are, see, Bhagavad Gita, when people talk about it, they talk about it from a very philosophical, spiritual connotation. But when we interpret it at the background of technology, we interpret it at the background of science. And these 4-5 verses are really important because they talk about creation, sustenance, and eventual destruction. And when you try and understand that, you understand where Homa really fits in. And then you understand what we can do with it, how big a technology it was. And it was always a technology. It was never a faith-based practice. It was never a practice like yoga today is understood. There was a point in time when people didn't understand yoga at all, and they thought only monks and yogis did it. But now yoga is being done by hundreds and thousands and millions of people all over the world because they feel the connect. They understand how it works. They understand the science behind it. Same was with Ayurveda at some point, that people didn't understand. They thought it was some herbal brown color, not jargon. And now with a lot of research going in, with a lot of data getting collected, even on the background of this current pandemic, we have a lot of Ayurveda related data that we collected, and we could do wonders with the knowledge base that we have. And that's also the background for Agnihotra and Homa as well. Because that in these 5 verses, I'll quickly run through each of them so that you understand what they really mean. The first one is that creation was done using Homa as a technology. So this is a very important point, and I don't know if I can go into the details of it right now because it will take maybe just an hour for me to just explain that. But the thought is that creation of life on this planet was done with using Homa as a technology. This planet was made livable by using Homa to create life. So for all the people who might not understand it, please just get this phrase right now because it's a very detailed description, and I could maybe request Jürgen to give me another hour on that because this is a very important point. And on the background of what we discussed earlier about the crisis at hand, and this being the thread, and it getting revealed at this juncture. So we are at the darkest point of human civilization, where there is possibility that a press of button can destroy life at large, and we are at the darkest point of the tunnel. And at this point, the Homa has been revealed. So it was revealed at a time when creation was being done. So it was using that as a technology that our ancient forefathers made this planet livable. So they purified the air, they purified the water, they purified earth, and they created this planet livable for humans and life at large. So this is a very important point. I don't know, like I said, it's going to sound little science fiction right now, but that's how it is. That's what they mean, that Homa was used as a technology to create life. Not just as a spiritual or faith-based practice. So what we are doing, that's why, like I said, if it was done on a time on the planet where life itself wasn't possible, then to use that technology now to restructure what is wrong in the planet is very easy. So that's where that thing comes from. That if this planet was not conducive for life itself, and some beings used Homa as a technology to make life possible on the planet, so you can understand that it has extreme applications. I mean, I can't go into details right now, but that's what the verse really is. And
that's very impressive to hear that. And you mentioned this is from the Bhagavad Gita, and
yes,
very impressive. And we really would like to, if possible, if you can share the references as well as a translation in English. So this would.
the first one is Sahayajna Prajapati. That means using Homa as a technology.
Yeah.
Prajapati, of course, means the creative energy. Created life on the planet. That's what the first verse means. Our idea of creation is very different. That the current idea of life, how life began on this planet, is very different from what they understand. I don't think what this means is that life began on this planet at all. It was built on this planet by beings far superior than our knowledge, and they built life here. It wasn't started here. It wasn't begun here. Life was created here. Life was like this is seeded on the planet. That's what really means, and that Homa was used as a technology. So Homa has probably the capacity to create life itself. So it has the capacity for how do I put it that it doesn't sound out of Star Trek or something.
It's possible here. It is also possible on other planets to do that.
Yeah, that's the point. That it began at some other life began on some other place, and then it was seeded here on the planet by beings far superior than us. That's where the idea of Saptarishis come from. That there were these 7 people who began life on the planet. So, like I said, that's a different story. Let's understand this: that Homa has the capacity to create life itself. It has the capacity for creation itself. Okay, so that's the technology that they used.
Very impressive.
Create life.
Yeah, maybe a quick question. Does it also say about that it generates energy, or does it transform energy? Do you know?
Both.
Both.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So then the next one is that Devan Bhavayatan Enati Deva Bhavayantu. That Deva here doesn't mean God. Okay. Deva basically means elements. So it means that by taking energy from the Homa, the elements became stable and became conducive for generation of life. That's how the second verse is. And Ishtan Bhogan, again the same one. That from taking energy from the Homa and having been fully stabilized, that's when life really began. And the last one is really interesting. The last one is really, it means Annad Bhavati Bhutani Parjanyad Anna Sambhava Yadnad Bhavati Parjano Yadna Karma Samudbhava. That means food or nature is what gives us life. Annad means nature here, and Bhutani means everything that is alive. So plants, nature around us gives us life. To whom does it give life? To everybody who's alive. That could be humans, animals, plants, everything. And then the sustenance of nature is dependent upon climate cycles. Parjanya means climate cycle. Okay. Homa can stabilize climate cycle. That's the reason to do Homa. Okay, this is a direct quote from Bhagavad Gita 5,000 years ago.
Wow.
So that it means the nature around us gives life to all the beings. The stable functioning of all the climate cycles keeps nature alive. Homa has the capacity to stabilize the global climate cycle That's why you should participate in Homa. So this is a direct quote and from the Bhagavad Gita, like I said, and that's why we understand. That's where the research then comes from, because we have ancient references. So when we interpret them in a different way, we get a whole different understanding, and that's where then the whole structuring of what can be done becomes more relative, and then we understand why transformation that we feel can happen will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, we all know what Agnihotra is, and everybody knows what the background of it is. That is the background. So the first slide that I shared with you of the global catastrophe, then Shree and his message, then the referencing of the past, and then what Agnihotra is. So now that we know what we are doing, we understand what the research really is going to be about. So if we would not have understood the background, we would not have understood the codes and Shree and his vision of what could be the future, and what how Homa can be used to do that as a therapeutic concept. We might not have understood what we are going to talk about in terms of the research that we have done, because the research proves what is going to happen. So when we conduct research, is not to prove to somebody else that Homa works. It is to understand ourselves how it really works. For us to understand what benefits it has on climate cycle, how does it affect crop cycles, how can we enhance agricultural production, how can we better human health, how can we tackle larger issues of mental health, and so on and so forth. How can we use this technology to create transformation is part one. And the second part is, how does it actually happen? Because we know it happens, we have seen it happen. Now the research is going to be to see how it happens. So when I talk about conducting research protocols or projects, it's not to prove to somebody else that, hey, this works. It's for us to understand, because that I think is far more greater introspection, that it gives me a lot of satisfaction and own personal journey of understanding, using modern science as a base to see how the Vedic philosophy really unfolds in its larger story, in its larger prophecy. So what we saw, a journey of a few millennia, and at the darkest point, this is getting revealed, and then now there is a change all over the planet. So on that background, if you look, what is currently happening in the world doesn't look coincidental. It then means it's part of a larger journey, it's part of a larger storyline that is getting unfolded. So then we look at the world very differently. We look at the world with hope now. We don't look at the world with despair. We look at the possibilities that are out there, the potential out there. We look at the great projects that can be undertaken, not just here in India, but globally. And that's, I think, where the real change maker is going to be. That's where the initiative is really going to be, that we are at the forefront of this global change. And maybe the rest of the world doesn't even understand what is happening right now. They're clueless, they're hopeless, they're frightened, they're stressed, they're worried, they are scared right now. And on the other end of the stick are we, who are saying that let all of this happen, we will still create change, and we will create a planet for everybody that they can only dream of. So we don't look ourselves as victims of this problem. We look up to us as change makers. We look up to ourselves as who are people who are ushering change. And no matter what happens around us, we still have the potential, because we have one of the most biggest known technologies on the planet with us. And that's why we are sure that no matter what happens, we'll come out triumphant. No matter how dark it gets, we'll come out fighting and change the course of human history itself. So that's where Homa, that's how I look at Homa. That's how I understand it. I don't look at it from, like I said, because I've been trained as a scientist, I've been trained as a person of research, and I don't look at things from a faith-based initiative. I look up to things as technologies, and then research based on that. So from what we discussed so far, now when I share the research with you, you will understand how that change is going to happen. It's not if now, it's not a but now, it's how. So we have gone beyond that. We have gone past all of the questions. Now we are in the stage of answers, and I think that's where it gets really interesting. These are, so how it really works is a slide that I think most of us understand, but I would just run through it briefly. I know I don't want to be over time, or I don't want to shoot beyond my allotted time, but it is a very detailed topic, and I needed this time to introspect, because this was a very important time in our life histories. We haven't seen other large global change events in the past. This is something I think that we are going through, is probably the biggest in our lifetime. So this, on the background of what is happening in the world, I wanted you to understand the concept of Homa and the vision of a future that we share together, and the possibilities of what can be done in terms of its applications. And then this slide is basically about how it really works. So it influences the environment around us in a way that is rhythmic, it is vibrational, and it influences our body, mind, and the spirit going forward. It affects us on all the 4 levels. It helps us, of course, achieve a larger inner balance, and of course stabilizes life energy around us, and most importantly, it creates the bridge between us and the universe around us, and helps us achieve a larger sense of surrender and acceptance of our own reality and our own individuality, which will help us find stability in our hearts, and then go out there as positive citizens of the planet, not as consumers but as protectors. So now let's talk about all the research that we did. So this is the research that we did in 11 different cities in India. So what we did was we went to the most highly polluted areas, like bus stands and bus stations and railway stations, and very crowded areas where there's a lot of emission in the atmosphere. So if you see, what we did was we collected air samples. Now this is something that is done by the environmental department of our Indian government, and they collect these random air samples, which is called as AQIs, which means air quality indexes. So they are random air samples collected at different parts of the country, and then that's how the AQI of the nation is decided. And I'm sure you must have heard that air quality index is pretty bad in many parts of India because of various reasons. This is something that we did. We collected air samples in 11 different cities, and we collected a sample 30 minutes before Homa, during Homa, and 30 minutes after it as well. So 3 samples were taken. So 33 samples in totality were collected and analyzed in a government lab here in Mumbai. And this were the findings that we had. So now what I do is, what we have done is we have given you a compiled data. So this data is not individual topic location based data. This is the data collective from all the different 11 locations. And then that's where it gets really, really interesting. So I'll just run you through this. So this is so if you see on the top of the line, that's called PM10. It's particulate matter above a certain size, a micron size. Okay. So the top 2, PM10 and PM2.5, are the indicators of extreme pollution in the atmosphere, which makes it extremely difficult to breathe. So breathing in a 400 mu per M3 PM10 is like probably smoking 100 cigarettes a day. Yeah, is as bad as that, so if you're smoking in that air, chances of you dying with early stage cancer are very high. And that is a random sample, like I said, from 11 different locations. So you can see the normal permissible limit is 21 to 25. And the actual location recorded was 400 mu. So it was so many times greater than what is breathable for human life. Even in that atmosphere, when we collected air samples, within the first 30 minutes after Homa, the AQI improved and PM10 levels fell to 200. So more than 50% in the first 30 minutes in an extremely overcrowded environment, we could see that it does affect the environment. There is a very notable change in the atmospheric values. Look at the PM2.5 values as well. This is a very fine particulate matter from the emissions of the cars, or from burning of coal, or all of those reasons. And you can see that from 350 mu it came down to 250. So all the 2 top indexes are extremely important, because that is basically the level of pollution and quality of air that we breathe. So if that's the air that we were forced to breathe, post Homa it comes down by almost 50% immediately in the first 30 minutes. What happens if there is a continuous cycle of morning evening Homa there for the next 30 days or whatever? we are pretty sure that when we do that project, which we are planning to do, the AQI is going to come down to breathable limits within the first 30 minutes. So that's really impressive. When we say that, can Homa restructure climate cycle? Yes, it can.
Yes.
Why? Look at the last point here, CO2 levels, the carbon dioxide levels. From 310 ppm, it came down within the first 30 minutes, it dropped to 300.
Yeah.
So ideally, in a crowded atmosphere, it never goes down, because there are not only people breathing out carbon dioxide, but vehicles out as well, letting out emissions.
Yeah.
So in ideal such places, the carbon dioxide level never goes down. It always keeps going up. But because of the practice of Homa, it came down by 10 ppm in the first 30 minutes. Like I said, if there was a continuous 30-day or a 1-year cycle there, I'm pretty sure that the carbon dioxide levels could be normalized and down to its actual permissible limits.
Very impressive that the level of oxygen is up.
Yes,
in parallel.
I'm going to come there now. And the final point in the slide is that no combustion ever in what we know as chemistry, no combustion helps increase of oxygen levels. I mean, it's like if I lock up a room and burn paper in the room, will it suddenly become more breathable? No, it will become impossible to breathe. But look at this. From 18%, which is a normal breathing limit, it shot up to 21% in the first 30 minutes. So the air actually got purified. Okay, we might use a different terminology because if it's a Sanskrit word from some 5,000 years ago, we might not really understand its depth, what is being said in that text. But if you are understanding that, you will understand what great knowledge base we have inherited. That we can actually, there is a technology known to humankind that can reverse climate cycle. So this is phenomenal, and this is beyond imagination. Whoever I've shown this to has been completely impressed that there is no human technology, there is no known technology other than locking industry down and going back to the cave age or going back to stone age, that we can reverse climate change right now. But there is, and we are very happy and proud to be a part of the movement that is giving it out to the world.
That's really amazing on these levels, and 21% is the exact level the atmosphere should contain oxygen. That's the ideal, what scientists say. I'm really flashed by that, yeah. And we're always talking about carbon dioxide reduction, and here we can see it, and that's really, but it's not yet known how it functions. We know it functions, but what happens to the molecules in the atmosphere? They must divide and combine in another combination to reach these values. That's really great. Yeah, I'm very impressed. Thank you for this information. Yeah.
Look at the answer right here. You can see the ozone levels. See the ozone change.
The ozone levels, yes.
Yeah. From 7.7 before, it goes to 60 per new meter cube afterwards.
Yeah.
So that extra ozone is going to combine with the atmospheric hydrogen to create water molecule that creates a drop in the PM10 and PM2.5 levels.
Okay. I see.
There's a lot of sedimentation that happens which drops the particulate matter, and the remaining ozone then combines to become oxygen.
That's the way it works. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and also there is because of the burning of fat solids, because of the heat that burns, it releases a lot of water vapor. The water vapor then basically reduces the carbon dioxide level as well. So there is an explanation. Maybe there's an even deeper explanation I don't know of right now. This is something that I was told by the people who did the measurements, that yes, this is how it works. This is how it can be answered. You know?
I can also imagine that the lab where you did the measurements, that they were also very impressed about the data and potentially go for more analysis and look understand what's behind.
It actually, sadly, we were hit by the lockdown. So 19th March last year was one of the 11th study that we did. And actually the study was supposed to be of 25 cities. And 22nd March, the first lockdown was announced. So we had like 3 days. I rushed back home from the city where I was in, and like 24 hours later, we went into a 60-day lockdown. And then since then we haven't been allowed to conduct these research protocols. So hopefully once this thing stabilizes, we can go back to conducting those research programs and collect more sustained data.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a slide about the impact of the Homa on human health. What we did was we collected 300 different people who had known patients of diabetes, heart disease, and respiratory diseases. So this was done before Corona. So back then we were only talking about asthma and other breathing disorders. So we collected 300 patients between 25 and 65, both men and women, and we made them practice Homa for 7 consecutive days. So that's 14 cycles of Homa practice done over a period of 7 days consecutively, back to back, in of course in our own campus. And then we measured the before and after parameters with using regular measurement equipment. So if you can see here in the first column, is there a pointer that I can use?
Yes, yeah, you can.
This
pointer
arrow
to the screen.
Is this the arrow?
Yes, yeah, the arrow. Yeah.
Can you see the pointer?
Not yet.
Okay.
Are you there? You are having the hand here.
Yeah. Now can you see?
Now I see it. Now.
I see it. Yeah, it's here. We can
So
see it.
yeah, if you
all too.
Yeah, so look at the first level. These are people with severe heart disease issues. So the random blood pressure was above 180 systolic, which is really high blood pressure. And in 75% of these patients, in the first 7 days, it normalized. All right. So this is a very strong indicator of how it impacts the human mind, impacts metabolism, creates shift in the physiology, and transforms even in an anatomical way. So from just a data, from just a thought in the book to an actual scientific data, the journey is fascinating, really, to see it unfold like this in real life. That yes, this can be done sheer by 10 minutes or each time, so that in 20 minutes a day, this is how different you can. This is the difference you can make on your body parameters. Look at the blood sugar levels without any intake. So nobody was given anything to eat, or no medicine was given inside. Just regular practice is from blood sugar levels above 200. In 80% of the patients, they dropped below to normal. So that is really big change, and really very impressive, even by medical standards. Look at the pulse rate, which shows possibility of a heart disease. If it's above 100, 115 all the time, in 85% patients it dropped down to normalcy. And look at the last thing here. Now this is really important and impressive with what is happening in the world right now, because we did not know it back then. We measured, like I said, on asthma related patients and other breathing disorders. Look at from a respiratory rate of 35 plus. Can you imagine the requirement of oxygen here? They must be gasping for breath. That's how severe it is. 35 plus is extreme requirement of high flow oxygen. And in 75% patients, they stabilized and normalized in 7 days. So this is really impressive. Like I said, from a medical standpoint, this is path-breaking knowledge. If we could have used this technology the way it was meant to be, we could never have had the pandemic around us. But sadly, right now it's at a very research level data, a very early stage understanding, and the projections then have to build around that. We still have to suffer through, but we did a survey of 5,000 people in 35 different countries, and we collected data about 3 simple questions. Like I said, did you contract corona? Did anybody in your family contract corona?
No, we my wife and me, we contracted in December last year.
And we collected 5,000 entries, and out of 5,000 people, 6 people were infected because they couldn't practice Homa for more than 30 days. And then I think one person died because he died of a heart attack. So literally from the 5,000 people sample that we did across 35 countries, so this is a large sample size that we took. The contracting rate was less than 0.1%, and mortality was negligible, 1% out of 5,000, without any random infection at that. So fabulous technology. I mean, my goodness.
Okay, we contracted it, but as we take Agnihotra ash, it was quite harmless. So we were tested positive, and we had to stay in quarantine, and we had slight symptoms of headache and stuff like that. But all these, what you mentioned here, respiratory stuff, and I didn't even have to cough. There was nothing in terms of cough or high fever, and it was gone after a few days. And I think it also has to do with the beneficial effects of Agnihotra and the ash. And of course, I think you might still contract it, but the point is how hard are the symptoms and what is going to happen.
Contracting something is not a big deal, because at the end of the day, it's a biological pathogen. It's going to be around you. It's going to be very easy to contract. But the point is, how well can you fight it, and most importantly, do you succumb to that infection? So I think contracting a disease is still okay, but like very very well mentioned, that the way you fought back is very very interesting.
Okay.
So this is a slide on mental health. We did, like I said, another survey. We conducted a survey of 300 plus participants between the ages of 25 and 65, both men and women, and we conducted this survey over 30-day period. So we gave them a questionnaire at the day 1, and then they participated in the project for 30 days. And at the end of the 30th day, we gave them a second set of questions to answer, similar, structured differently. And these were the findings. Look at the fabulous strongly agree levels. I mean, feeling of inner peace in 75% participants, ability to let go in 55% participants, manage stress better in 75% people, 70% people, a better work-life balance in 65% people. And look at that last column, positive outlook in life in 65% participants. So many of the patients who we worked with were chronic depressed, people with suffering from anxiety and chronic depression, some people even borderline schizophrenia. And these are results of people who are attached to a mental health clinic. And this is fabulous. Even the doctors who worked on that project were extremely surprised. So these are symptoms that don't go even with long-term therapy. You can't get these positive results. So with a 30-day cycle, if that's what you can gain, I mean, everybody was astonished. Look at that, lowered anxiety in 55% participants. That's really impressive. And this entire column, like I said, from a doctor's perspective, is very interesting, because what it takes years of therapy, years of sustained medication to even get 50% of these results. It can be achieved in a 30-day cycle. It's nothing less than a miracle. It's really impressive. This is on the study we did in our schools. We have, I'll share more about that. We have a school with almost 1,000 plus children who learn with us, and we have been doing this sustained study survey over the last 5 years. And this is a survey done between the teachers, students, and the parents. They all fill in the forms, and this is what we have understood, is that because it's a big problem nowadays, especially with children facing a lot of stress at home and stress at school, competition going up, and level of addiction going very high. So children as young as 12, 13 years old today are addicted to tobacco and alcohol. So this was a survey that we conducted, and 75% children stayed away from addiction, better concentration, better ability to handle stress, better focus levels, higher motivation levels, and last again, better overall well-being. 65% participants said they had a fabulous feeling of well-being and a very focused positive outlook of looking at the future, becoming great contributors to the well-being of the planet, and think beyond just their own family careers, think about the planet and its own issues. So this is a very interesting slide.
Mm.
This is a survey we did with 3 major corporate companies here in India, wherein we took a sample survey of around 500 people who worked in those companies, and we made them participate in a 30-day cycle. They were all men and women aged between 25 and 60 years. And this is the survey result. Look at all those. See, all these. I think from a corporate standpoint, if people are working in these major multinational corporations, they should basically pay us to learn Homa. Actually, look at this column: improve time management, better dedication to work, discipline in work patterns, reduction in absenteeism. So absenteeism apparently costs global corporate companies more than $1 trillion a year in losses. With Homa practice, in 30 days, there was a reduction in absenteeism. So that means there is better outputs, but increased profit and better performance by the corporate companies. So this is very interesting for them. Ability to adapt and change also in 70% patients, and better work-life balance, again 65% participants. So all these from a company standpoint are very important. And like I said, everywhere where we apply Homa and try and measure its benefits, you can see that there is fascinating results. And all these surveys are not like 3-year, 4-year, 5-year surveys. They are 30-day, 20-day, 6-month surveys. If we have the ability and of course the funding to do like a 6-month to 3-year surveys, I'm sure we are going to see fabulous results emerge. Yeah. And every slide I go through, every time I've done this presentation maybe 500 times up until now, but every time I go through this, I'm myself amazed as to what immense applications of Homa in the real world. Yeah. So this is a study done with the de-addiction center. We worked with the de-addiction center and mental health clinic, and this was done with people who were addicted to crack, cocaine, and even beer addicts, and they were made to participate in the 30-day cycle. And this was the result that 80% of the participants gave up addiction completely. So if you are aware about the addiction crisis, it's way worse than the corona pandemic right now. The addiction pandemic is global, and it is far more harmful, and it hurts more lives than corona could even dream about. So the stress levels are off the chart. There is greater stress upon family, greater stress at work, and a lot of environmental problems. There's so much that is going to make a person feel unwell mentally, and that mental illness, people find solace in substance abuse, and eventually that substance abuse becomes deep addictions. And then I've seen many young people lose their lives to addiction, and I've seen, people, things that you only talk about in movies, or if you read about in articles in newspapers. I've seen them firsthand because we work very closely with the de-addiction center, and I know of people who take 50 to 60 sleeping pills a day and still not sleep. Really very bad situation, and they were all 22, 24, 25-year-olds. So it's very sad to see that. And the doctors, they said that we have no hope. We just wait till they die. That's what they kept talking. That all we can do is hold on till they can eventually pass on. So, and we worked with these people, and we were very happy that many of them went back home happy. They found a new creative vision in life. They worked harder. Now they have families, they have children, and they are doing their own regular family life. So this is very interesting. Now, okay, first off, I'll say this data doesn't include the COVID-19, but it includes 11 different pathogens that are way more harmful, and I think it includes the SARS-1. So COVID is SARS-2, so it includes SARS-1. We did a clinical trial with 11 different pathogens, 5 bacteria and 6 bacteria and 5 viruses, in a controlled environment in Mumbai, at a lab, and these are the results that the air sample, the contamination in air, contamination of water, and contamination of soil. So all the three levels where a person can contract these pathogens, we sampled it, and we can see the airs, because right now with the pandemic being an air transmit virus, 99% reduction in air transmission. So that is really very impressive, that the fumes create an atmosphere where these pathogens are completely inactivated, wherein their transmission doesn't really impact the health of the people in that environment, and it doesn't create a large scale disease. So 99% reduction in the colonies of all these 11 pathogens. That's very impressive. Again, like I said, this is not data, doesn't include COVID-19, because we are not permitted to work with COVID right now. We did a sample with a COVID sample in a lab 6 months ago, but it was not with the fumes, it was with the Agnihotra ash, and we found that the ash with the right concentration is able to neutralize COVID completely. So it's 99.99% anti-COVID. So the ash that you have like in the home right now is one of the biggest vaccines that you can ever take against COVID, and it's free. So it's completely organic, completely side effect free, and 199.99% effective. So most of the vaccines are 90% effective. Ash in your home is one of the fabulous, most important vaccine that you could ever take, and it works against 11 other pathogens, not just COVID. So I think if you are doing the fire already, take that vaccine every day, morning and evening, without fail.
Get vaccinated.
100% organic, farm grown, local, vegan, all the great attributes you can attach to it. It already is.
Very hopeful. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to delve deeper into the impact of Homa farming, because you are living on the Hof. So I think Guido and Jürgen and Bernd and my friends there would be a better guide to help you understand the impact of Homa farming. And you can go there and see the lovely work they're doing. I think Host has created a fabulous place. I love to go. I used to go there at least once a year, once in 2 years. But Corona hasn't allowed me to do that. But I look forward to going there and eating the wonderful apples from our backyard tree. You know,
that would be great if you have the chance to visit us once again.
To see you again, maybe next year. Yeah.
And I miss the lovely smell. There's that Homa smell there that I really miss. So yeah, I look forward to seeing all of you soon.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
So this is also a very interesting project, but this was not done by us. This was done by Dr. Burke and his team. We are repeating this study in a nuclear facility here in India, but this was done with some rice from the Fukushima nuclear power plant. So what they did was they took in a university in Ukraine, they took 100 grams of this irradiated rice. So this was really very toxic, extremely radioactive rice. And they took it, and in one jar they added ash water and the rice to it, and in the other jar they added just plain water and rice. And they found that at the end of the 15th day cycle, the ash in the rice in the ash water was completely radioactive free. It was completely safe. It was not only safe, but it touch, but also safe to consume apparently. So this is also a very interesting study.
Yeah. After 15 days, you mentioned.
After 15 days, yes.
So 1,000 years.
So if there is a catastrophe down the line with radiation leak, like it happened in Chernobyl or in Fukushima, we're using Homa as a technology. We might be able to neutralize a lot of the damage that has been done. But like you know that we won't be allowed to try anything, because the technology is fairly new right now, and we might not be allowed for large scale applications. But if we were permitted, I'm pretty sure we could have made some change in the situation.
Yes.
Look at this slide also, because the ash water that we might be drinking is actually alkaline. So if you have heard and read about alkaline water, you don't need to buy those costly bottled waters. Just add ash to it and it becomes completely alkaline in nature. It reduces. We saw that the pH level reduces right up to 7.5 to 8, which is extremely healthy. It is very, very useful to detox the body, reduce free radicals, reduce free acid molecules, and actually create an anti-aging effect. So if you are trying to remain young, like host was looking right now, host somehow drinks this water every day, I guess. He never seems to grow old. If you want to look as healthy and young as host, please keep drinking this water. That's the secret. Okay.
Very nice.
We do. Yeah.
And the same effect that the Homa has on the agricultural plant, the crops, it also has the same effect on plants at large around us as well. So we have, like I said, same higher rate in germination, better fertility, better resistance to, because there is a lot of crisis in viral infections in large jungles. I don't know if you've read that, in forest land. So there's because of the climate drop in the rainfalls or the erratic rainfalls, and the increase in atmospheric temperatures, there are a lot of dormant viruses that have become active in the forests, and they're eating the complete forest dead. That is a big problem in many forests around the world right now. So with Homa, we can actually reduce the viral infection as well. And of course, better chlorophyll means a healthier plant and a stronger immunity of the plant as well. I'm not going over time, am I, Jürgen?
Looking at the amount of slides you want to show.
Yeah, I'll rush through. I'll rush through.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is what I think we want to achieve with Agnihotra lifestyle, with the Homa, that technology that we're practicing, that we can reduce stress, we can improve basic physical well-being, improves emotional well-being, create a better work-life balance, higher motivation, reduce addiction levels, of course, control pandemics and epidemic spreads, protect the civilization against radiation effects, better food production, help, of course, shape the children's mind in a better way, and most importantly, create a strong, stable global family. This is what we want to achieve. That was what was said in that slide first. That was what Shree has a vision of doing. So these are basically findings from research using Homa as a technology based on the reference of the Vedas, as a vision given by Shree. So this is basically the Vedic vision unfolding itself in the real world around us, and this is measured, documented, researched, and cross-checked and peer reviewed as well. So this is all the good things that do happen in scientific research. We have all done all of them, and this is the findings from that.
Yeah, and it sounds very positive and modern. So Agnihotra lifestyle, that's really something you want to share and you want to live according.
Yeah, and I think the Hof is a living example of that, right?
Yeah.
So this is now what we have done is we have in Shivapuri, like I said, back home where we stay. What we have done is we have tried to create applications and initiatives using this as a technology. So what we did was we created. Of course, these are all beautiful monuments that you can come there and see. It's really beautiful as a place. Jürgen has been there. Guido has been there several times.
Yeah. Beautiful area there, yeah. Especially the garden and with the monuments and the temples you have.
Yes, this hall here.
All ancient artifacts.
Yeah.
These are from the Sommerjagd.
Yes.
The fireplaces.
Fireplaces of
Yeah. We have our own cow sanctuary as well, which is what we needed for our Homas, of course. So now what we have done is we have taken all the research we did and created applications on the campus. We have like 160-acre campus there, and then what we did was we created in basic 3 fields, in health, education, and agriculture. We have implemented a technology there, and we invited the world to come and see what we are doing, because there's an ancient reference. You did the research. Now people would say, yeah, if you believe in it so much, why not convert it into an application? Why not apply it somewhere and show us the actual results. What can be done. What is done in a lab is, yes, something is possible, but when you see it in real world, it's a whole different experience. So what we did was, in farming, we have created Agnihotra farming plots where people can come and see, and these are large scale plots, not just 1 acre, 2 acres. They have more than 80 acres of farms, and with different crop cycles throughout the year. And many people do come and see these sample plots and control plots that we have created. And you can see, I mean, I've seen beautiful pictures from the Hof as well. And like I said, for farming, just go and meet Jürgen or Guido, and they'll help you. This is our wellness center. This is based on Homa therapy and Ayurveda and yoga as its basis. And we have actually created a therapeutic system based on Homa as a practice. And then all the therapies that we do provide in this center are based on that as a concept. So this is very interesting, where there are many probably wellness centers around the world promoting health in their own different backgrounds and philosophies. What we aim to do here is basically convert it into a full-scale health center, a hospital down the line, where we can provide an alternative approach to healthcare with the ancient technology, using modern research, and create a large-scale healing.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, it begins with Homa. Then we add a lot of Ayurveda therapies to it as well, that we are doing as part of the therapy routines that we follow there. We have 7-day, 14-day, and 30-day programs right now, like retreats, which are yoga, Homa, and Agnihotra Ayurveda based, and these are being attended for people around the world. And it is right now we are doing even online consultations, and then people are getting benefits of it. Also, what is interesting is that we have created a large network of ash medicines, which are manufactured in a GMP certified, FDA approved formulations. So this is very interesting that we could pass through the FDA channels and get these sanctions for the ash medicines done, because technically the FDA doesn't qualify ash as a medical component, but with the research that we had, they accepted that, and we are right now completely licensed to not only manufacture but to distribute it as a medical, as a medicine.
Oh, that's nice. Licensed. Yes.
These are different therapies that people can do there: meditation, yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Places for people to stay.
And that's all located in Shivapuri location. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is basically all organic food, cooked locally, all Ayurveda recipes, and of course vegetarian sattvic food.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Yes, this has improved a lot since.
Yeah.
Got bigger, much nicer, and I'm glad to hear that you also have licenses for the medicine and so on. It's really started now. Yeah.
Like I've always been of the opinion that we need to create a new structure to replace the old one. We can't keep saying something in an idealistic way and hope it will replace the problem out there. If we know that there's a problem, and when we have a solution, let's create a structure to answer that problem. We are going through the channels, through the right structures, and hopefully replace one thing with the next.
Mm-hmm. How many people are living there now, right now in Shivapuri?
We have some around 300 plus people.
300 plus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We run the schools as well, where the children participate in Homas regularly. So there are around 1,000 plus children right now who go through our schools.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little lag, and we conduct these major events where we have 5,000, 10,000 people participate in these live events with us.
10,000.
Yeah.
That's great.
Is this then something like a basic training that you give, or is it especially?
So it's a mixture of people who already are part of the family and some people who are new as well.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah.
We're doing a lot of charity work as well. Even in COVID, I think we distributed almost 500,000 meals to people who were young children, land laborers. Because of the lockdown, there was a lot of problem with people losing jobs and they couldn't even afford to eat. So we took the initiative and distributed free food in almost 6 cities in India.
Mhm.
And almost 500,000 meals we could provide.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very,
Impressive.
very interesting to see that you run this school.
Yeah.
Is, I think, still very exotic over here in Europe.
Yeah.
And I think every day the children start with Homa.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Morning and evening.
Morning and evening. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do a lot of medical activity. We do a lot of charity in terms of free medication. We provide almost, I think, 10,000 plus people every year with free medical services. Even support medical aid for people who need operations and who can't afford. We reach out and help them through the Vishwa as an organization.
Mhm.
We also provide like educational support to, I think, what almost 5,000 children. I'm not sure about the actual number, but the idea is to create more opportunities to help the community where it is needed. So when we are talking about Homa as a technology, creating a larger change, we also want to make sure that people who need aid and who need support in their daily life, we should be there to help and support. So this is a charity and outreach program that we have,
Mhm.
which helps us reach out to a lot of local communities, people, and we're very happy to be of service and help them achieve better health and life goals.
Mhm.
So this is the last slide, a small flower at the lotus feet of the master, uh, and his vision unfolds, helping us realize our own true potential, helps us achieve our own dreams, fulfill our own life's purpose and destiny, creating a large, happy experience of being alive for ourselves, for our families, protect them, help them, heal them, and by grace of the Almighty, we can also now use Agnihotra and Homa as a technology and create the same vision for the rest of the planet as well. I know it's not. It sounds too impossible right now for many people who may be joining us for the first time. I see, wow, there's a lot of people who are joined in, but yeah, this is not a science fiction anymore. It's a reality.
Yeah.
It might have started out as, like I said, when I was first explaining the slide, it looked impossible, something from an old text somewhere, and maybe you misinterpreted the language or whatever. But when you do the research, when you go through what is actually possible, even in a controlled environment, and when you see it unfold out in the world, you're fascinated.
That's,
What? Yeah. So.
that was also an interesting experience that we had over the past days with the guests that we had in our different lectures. And then one of them mentioned he was very impressed that more people know about Agnihotra than he thought. So yeah, now with all the media, like the session today, internet and so on, a lot of people at least hear about Agnihotra. Maybe they are interested, and a lot of them are interested more deep.
Yeah.
And that's a very positive trend that we see here in Europe. Yeah.
Many people are
This was something that we discussed with Hof, that the reason for the Hof might not be visible for you right now, but hold on, times are going to change. And it's going to become very important to have these outreach places out in the world for us to reach out to people there. So it can't be that we are all living here in India itself. It won't be of service. We have to go out in the world, be wherever. I mean, it would have been very easy for host to settle down in India and be with Shree and not worry about setting up the Hof and collect all of you and then motivate you every day, but that was a mission that was he had to fulfill,
Right,
and necessary to for us to keep unfolding it going even further.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what started here in Germany by founding the Homa-Hof already in 1988. So that's a couple of time, and now we also have a very good experience, and even more people come and bring their own experience, and that was the big benefit of the last days, where we heard a lot of people sharing their experiences and feelings and intuition, how they experience with Agnihotra and the Homa technology, and that was very beautiful and impressive for us to see over the last day. Yeah.
Well, thank you for this very inspirational presentation, and also for the hope. I think it will give hope to many people, not only us who know about it, but people all around the world. And I think we also have some questions in the chat.
Yeah.
Here
maybe before we go to the chat, let me give the chance to announce something, because we saw beautiful pictures out of Shivapuri, and Horst and Birgit, they made beautiful books, picture books, especially here from Shivapuri, with a lot of pictures inside, where you can see a lot of history and also the relationship to Shree. And a similar book is available from Akkalkot. That's also an important place close to Shivapuri, where Shree started his journey, if I may say. And another topic is that meanwhile, and we are very proud of it, the Agnihotra book, where we have a lot of people who join and are interested in facts about Agnihotra, that this is available in an English version as well. So please take a look to our internet site, and you can access to the data and get your own personal copy. Yeah. So Guido just mentioned that there are some questions in our chat, so that we may go through it, but I let you go.
Well, some of them are in German, some are in English. Maybe I can read out some of the questions to you, and you can give an answer. Where does it start? I think it's about somewhere about the vaccination. That was where does it start? What is the effect of Homa on vaccinated people? That is one question here. Or is it still necessary to get vaccinated then if you perform Homa? That may be the question.
Yes, I think it would be individual choice, but I think it's going to be important if you want to ever travel to get that vaccine. Like I said, it's a political choice. I don't know if it's a medical choice anymore. It's something that I think individuals have to decide.
Okay, so it is just to get more freedom when you want to travel. So.
Yeah, I want to get RT-PCR done every day.
Yeah. Okay. Then we had the population of Shivapuri, which you said is 300 plus, but at times there are also 2,000 to 10,000 people there when you have the meetings.
Some bigger events. If you host some bigger events at Shivapuri, we heard that there are a lot of people there in the campus.
They live on the campus then?
Around us, we don't have enough room for everybody, but people stay in the city. People, a lot of town has developed around us. A lot of hotels and guest houses and dormitories, and people stay there. But yes, we do big events. In India, an event with 10,000 people is not too big, really.
Okay, yes, I see. Okay, then we have. What do we have? Oh, that was about how many social projects do you have on your foundation? I thought it was that was the Vishwa Foundation, possibly.
Yeah.
and this person wants to know about the number of social projects or what it is.
No,
We have many projects actually. We have basically three important line of work. One is, of course, that we are working with a lot of education. We are providing educational aid. One big thing that we are going to do going forward is provide food support, because we see that many people need nutritious food and they're not able to access clean water, clean food. So we already have a 100-year legacy of providing free prasadam, free food. We want to take that up in a big way going forward, because in the pandemic we were very happy to see that we could provide large quantities of meals to people who really needed them.
Yeah.
And there were really very shocking stories, and where people who were not able to eat for 8 days, 9 days without at a stretch. And when some people literally cried when they were given a food packet, that you get access to food. I mean, that's a basic human right.
Yeah.
And the fact that, so that is one thing, that one region where I want to concentrate much more. Medical aid, of course, we do a lot of medical aid. We are tied up with many hospitals that we provide free medical care to people that we send to them. We subsidize, we pay for many people's medical aid ourselves. And so one new thing that I want to do also is probably environmental protection. Maybe tree plantation is something that also we would focus on. So there are many projects that we think of, but there are like 100 things at the end of the day that you have to manage.
I'm very impressed. You mentioned 500,000 meals, which is quite a lot, and the free medical aid, which is also something. How do you finance this?
We, of course, finance it through our own foundation, because we finance it both ways. We through crowdfunding, one, and through a lot of the services and products we provide. We provide funding to our own projects. So most of the projects that we run today are self-sustained. We are not seeking any external help right now, and we are very proud of that fact that we work for service. At the end of the day, that's how it becomes. So all the money we raise through our companies and corporations and different service projects, we help the service projects.
Well, thank you.
And now I think there are many questions, or some questions, regarding vaccination and the effect with Agnihotra. So does it somehow has an influence on the spiritual work with Agnihotra? And the other one is regarding, is it possible to transform the effects of vaccination? Because many people are getting vaccinated at the moment. Do you see an influence here?
See, like I said, the vaccine is a political question. I would not want to touch upon that. If it was only a purely healthcare question, I would have discussed it. But no comments, especially what is happening in many parts of Europe with all the protests and everything. I wouldn't comment on that. I think it's an individual choice.
Yeah. I think still, yeah. And what we learned today, that there is so many positive effect of Agnihotra and the Homa fires, and in the end, it was written in the Vedas that there will be a time with a lot of issues, but there is a solution, and now we know the solution, and we already dig a little bit. So that's my assumption. We dig a little bit on the positive effects. Currently, we probably do not know everything, but we are at the start of this new era, and we see already positive effects. And I think that's what we should continue to work on, and to see the whole situation very positive. I think that's what we already learned from Horst, especially here at the Homa-Hof, that we know there will be a time, but there is a solution for that, and that's the reason why we are still very positive.
think, okay, now this is too early to talk about it, and because the work is still very nascent, very early stage. But there was a very big fear that somehow there could be some genetic restructuring done by chemicals being given to people and all that. And like I said, this is very early, and I'm not going to make any concrete claims here. But we have initial proof that the fires that we are doing help in restructuring any damage that have been done to our genetics.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it really impacts. It's a generational shift. So maybe we might not see it so much, but our grandchildren and great grandchildren will be born different. They won't be born with the same issues that we are born with. And I'm not saying it from a very social standpoint. I'm saying it from a genetic standpoint. Like I said, it's very early to say that right now. But if you are worried about any such thing, just stick to Homa. Don't worry.
Yeah. That's what we do. Don't worry.
Sounds logical. Yeah. If it helps with radioactivity, radioactivity is said to damage the genetic cells of the person, and so if it is healed and the radioactivity goes away, then the cells can function normally. That's what we should assume. Yeah. There was one more question, I think, that is about, are there also Muslim people in India practicing Agnihotra?
I don't look at people from their religious backgrounds. I see people as people, so I wouldn't ask people what their faith is and what their background is. So people do Agnihotra of all shapes and sizes and faiths. Yeah.
Okay. Then we have one. This is in German. I try to translate it. It's about the material of the Agnihotra pot, and it says that some people can't afford a copper vessel, and they use
pottery.
What is it? Pottery. Yes, potted
what is that?
Vessel. And this question is about if we could have a some crowdfunding or some donations to provide copper vessels for people. That is what I make of it. Yeah.
We could. I mean, that has to be done locally, because I don't know if you have been watching the trend, but commodities have really become very expensive. For instance, Jürgen would know, we have been working with him very closely. Pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, the rates of 1 kg copper have almost tripled in many parts of the world, because there's a lot of commodity purchase happening in the world. So there's no way we can change that right now, because we are using a metal that is publicly traded. The cost of that can't be controlled. They're not within our grasp. What we can do, of course, is help people whoever we can through mass donations or something like that, access the equipment.
The donation will be welcome.
Yeah,
he wants to donate for this.
I think they should gift each other that if they can afford. Instead of giving you an iPhone, maybe you can give the kit.
Okay, thank you. What else?
Maybe they want an iPhone instead.
Is it possible right now to travel from Europe to Shivapuri? If you want to enter India, what do you need at the moment in terms of papers or vaccinations, documents?
Let's not go to vaccine questions at all.
No.
Let's stop all of those questions. I did a lot of them as well.
But you still need the visa and.
Yeah. So let's.
Yeah.
I think let's call it. Yeah, let's call it a day.
Yes, if you like. Or do we have some very important things?
Yeah, we're just looking at the.
We are just looking at the comments. And Rainer said that India is closed at the moment.
India is closed at the moment.
The information we get here. Yeah.
I think.
So just go to Homa-Hof. You feel as if you are here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much, and especially thank you very much for keeping the relationship between the Homa-Hof and Shivapuri on such a positive and great level. We are very happy that from time to time we can have such an event. So let's see how it turns out in the next month, what possibilities we see, and potentially that we maybe run another webinar, who knows. I think we have very positive feedback from the last days where the people were very interested. We also would like to share the recordings of the summer event. Once again, thank you very much. It was nice being with you here, and the great presentation we saw, and wish you a very nice Sunday and talk to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Thank you so much, Gino. And big namaste to host, to Birgit, and lovely to see him, and would love to come and see him soon. And dark times are for people with closed eyes. People who can open up their eyes shouldn't feel the darkness, should see the light.
Yeah.
So we are the fortunate who could see the light. So rejoice, be happy, spend time with your families, hug them once more, and thank the Lord for this opportunity to see the light so closely. And don't worry with what's happening in the world around you. It's incidental right now. Focus on what can be done. And I think that's where the people with the fire come into play. That's where we are. That's what we are supposed to be here. We did not choose the fire. Fire chose us. So that you should never forget. That we are not here to live our lives, to punch in clocks and then go away into darkness. We are here in the light, from the light, towards the light. So be happy, be blessed, and see you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And goodbye from wonderful, sunny, sandy beaches of Goa. I'm not in.
Enjoy.
Enjoy it.
I thought you could see the sea behind me.
That's
No,
nice.
that's not visible at the moment. It's bright in your background, but I can imagine.
Yeah, it's extremely beautiful behind me. That's the sea right there.
Very nice. Yes.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So looking forward to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you everybody for joining. Many questions. I know. I'm so sorry. I have to leave. But we'll stay in touch, and all my brothers at Homa-Hof are there with you. So if you have anything, please just pass it through them. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.